Hello, it's Kristen back again. This is another card I had from the old discontinued Haiku paper pack from Stampin' Up. I'm going to just put these on when I talk about what we got going on here. I try to keep something a little bit more simple. I realize that a lot of my stuff just kind of starts to become way too labor intensive for me to prepare. And not all the cards need to have a lot going on. So this particular design, I was trying to use up the scraps I had of this pattern here, and what you're looking at that I've made here are cards from scraps. So I'm using some Memento black ink and some old olive as my inks. The old olive was pulled because that's what's in this two-tone background. I did use up some scraps here. I have some of the one it looks like the mum flower, and then you have some of that. Do have some going in my kits as well. I'm going to do another installment of my how to put that together. But I used this Coastal Weave 3D embossing folder again. Let me shut the door because the hubby is still mowing the lawn. I thought he was done by now, but apparently not. So I don't know how in love I am with this. I'm telling you, I wasn't able to get, like I said, a really deep embossing. It's supposed to be a 3D, but maybe I just got one that's kind of a dud because it really doesn't leave a deep impression. But again, I don't know if it's supposed to be. And then I used this old, I think this may have been a celebration one from Stampin' Up. I don't know, but it was the honeybee. And I have paper and all from this line. I really want to dig that out, I think, soon. That may be one of the ones I start pulling out for my sheet load challenges that I do myself after I finish this other one I have. So I really did like, this has got that, I don't know if you can tell, it adds in like all these like little micro dots in there to give it all the shading. So this is that new, it's like some kind of like definition or something they call it, as the new stamps that Stampin' Up comes out with, and I do like them. So everything in here was stamped and die cut from the honeybee. That was in there. This I did do a stamp and then I just fussy cut it around is how I did this one. And then the first one I did, well, I guess you can barely even tell. The first one I colored, I did with some Copic markers, and I did with these two colors here, the R85 and the Y19, just to give it some color. So I stamped it in the olive green and then did the coloring, just like I said, very little. I didn't want to do the black and then, because there wasn't that much to color in. If you notice where all the green is, there really wasn't much to, I would have been able to color it with green. So I stamped it in green to get that. But it looked very bright to me. But now, honestly, with them compared next to each other, they don't look that much different. So then I decided to give a try, and I used my stamping markers of Calypso Coral for the flowers and the Hello Honey for the bee. I wanted it toned down a little bit because this paper pack is very, like I said, it's the mustardy color. And I used some of that Barely Banana on the layer. Again, this is a very old, but one of my favorite colors that Stampin' Up had. It's just such a, it's like a buttery color. I love it. So I'm kind of trying to hoard the paper, but I know I got to give up my hoards. So this is the other design I have for this. And really all I have left is the one paper I've been holding on to, and then those strips. So I'm probably going to have maybe 3 more card designs coming out of this. So I'll be back with that. I'm back with more of the Stampin' Up Haiku paper that I did. I guess I can bring in, I wound up with, I believe it is 17 of these cards. This was the full sheet panel that had a bunch of different like border strips going across it. And I had used part of them in some of the other cards in this series. And this was what I was left with. Now, I'm going to go through and just give you a couple examples of how you don't have to keep this like picture perfect. Some of these, when I first did them, I didn't have as much reveal. And then some of them I had to cut. If I had kept them at the 4 1/8, I wouldn't have gotten as many. So I just cut them at the 4 and did a bigger reveal around the sides. And I actually liked it better. So then I went and cut them all that way. I think they all have that reveal. Yeah, that bigger reveal. They're all that way. I used a die from Stampin' Up! That was called Botanical Builders and just cut this big, lovely floral in the front in gold foil. And I chose to just use up some black strips I had. Some of the papers in my stash, I will keep, like, when you cut your card bases and you have the, like, 4 1/8 and then the 4 1/8, you will get that little 1/2 inch strip on the side. And some of them, I will keep that for things like this. Black, white, cream, like the light colors, I definitely keep so I can use them for these little banners on the front of my cards for sentiments. Obviously, you know, sometimes I can't use them up as fast as I cut them, so I will throw them out. But these cards, this one here, if you look, it's smooth across. This was a full sheet that had not gotten cut. Then as I started going through them, like this one, I have a big gap here because, or sorry, I have a gap here because I must have somehow needed, oh, somebody must have cut something. So I did have some of these, if you recollect earlier in the series, some of these don't have the full strip. Somebody had pre-cut this. I got this paper pack used. So I'm missing some of the stuff on both the top and bottom of that. So play around with it. I mean, this would be a great way to do if you're having just strips of paper left. Like you could recreate this. Here's another one. Like I have a gap in between here because this paper pack, this paper here, I think was too short, and I wouldn't have been able to get the dimensions correct. So I just left a gap and made it another. It just looks like another row in there of something to show off. Here's another one, has a gap in here. Another gap in here. So, you know, and if you look, sometimes the sentiment worked out best being in the bottom, and sometimes the sentiment worked out being in the top. I did use this Stampin' Up! Embossing powder I have in my stash, and I'll be honest, looking at what I see online from some other people, I'm wondering if I'm getting to like the bottom of the barrel in there. It's just not, I'm noticing areas like where it just wasn't real smooth coming out. So I have nothing to base it on, but I do think that you get to a point where you have to just throw it out and go to a new one, because I'm starting to get where I have a feeling that the pieces that are left in there are there for a reason. Like there's a reason they didn't stick in the Versamark. So I don't know. But I do have one more card, and it was my favorite paper that I will have in this series coming. And then this will be the total pack used up out of my stash. Can't wait. Hope you like the card. Again, I think it's a simple and easy way to use up some of your stash.